Hello and welcome to our Friday live session. It is wonderful to be here with you today. I am Amanda Farmer, the host of your Friday Lives. We are going out to Facebook on the Your Strata Property page, and we are also on my LinkedIn feed, which is pretty cool. It is wonderful to be celebrating another week in Strata here with you, another Friday afternoon that we have reached. I do have a special guest here with me, waiting in the wings, ready to join us to celebrate the week that was in Strata and fill us in on some inside information. That's what we like to do here in the Your Strata Property Facebook page. If you're coming in and you want to drop me a hello, I would love to hear from you. I can see Petra already saying good afternoon. It's wonderful to have you here with us today, Petra. What has everybody been up to? It is nuts. It's December in Strata. Whether you are a Strata manager or a building manager, service provider, a lawyer. I know the lawyers are crazy. We've been crazy all year, and we haven't had our holidays. We haven't had our overseas trips. We've got to complain about that. It has been a huge year. I have had a huge week in particular, and I have actually been in my office today, unusually so for a Friday. I have come back to my home studio to come to you for happy hour, but it was a bit of a rush, and it's hot out there in Sydney today, so I'm a bit hot and flustered here, and the hair's everywhere, but I know you love me anyway, so it's good. I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I made it here on time. NCAT hearings, our New South Wales Tribunal, we are still doing those by phone, which I think is a bit bizarre. The courts are open here. We have our court hearings in person. My understanding around the country, well, Queensland, WA, I'm sure you guys are having your hearings in person in your tribunals. Victoria, are you guys still doing things by phone? I'd be interested to know. It makes things a little bit difficult. I had a hearing a few weeks ago where we had about 4 witnesses, each lawyer wanting to cross-examine, and that is tough by phone. And it's also tough when you're before the appeal panel and needing to make some submissions on complex areas of the law. I know that our clients in particular are frustrated. Owners who are involved in these proceedings are frustrated at the moment with them having to be held by phone, and some questioning whether they are being fairly heard, particularly when we have some IT issues on, I have to be honest and say, most occasions somebody has an audio issue or can't quite hear what's going on. So I'm looking forward to that changing, but it has added to the stress of the last few weeks, having those hearings on and having to deal with this new environment, still new to many of us. Plus, it's the holiday season. How are you all going? Preparing for your holidays, however you might spend them. If you're an owner in a building, do you have an end of year get together? We definitely do in our building. We've got that scheduled for next weekend. We're going to meet down in our back garden, which we are lucky to enjoy. Everybody brings a drink and a little something to eat, a snack to share, and it's a really lovely time to catch up with residents, with tenants, and also owners who don't live in the building, dropping in to say hello, which is great. Speaking of the holiday season, I did see when I was flicking through the Look Up Strata newsletter that Nikki Jovikic produces a few times a week. I know so many of you are subscribers to that excellent newsletter, and Nikki has been one of our Friday Live guests. There was a title, I didn't have time to read it because I was rushing around today, but there was a title about Christmas decorations on balconies. This one comes up every year, guys. Are we allowed to put decorations on our balconies without approval? Are our buildings allowed to ban these things, to say that we can't have decorations? What do you think? Have you put your decorations up? I've put mine up. We've got the lights going. Has anybody told you to take them down? Does your building have a bylaw about Christmas decorations? I'd be interested to see one of those. Look, in New South Wales, we are impacting the external appearance of the building, not in any detrimental way, I would like to think. This is a temporary fixing to celebrate the season. I'd be a little bit sad if a strata committee had a problem with that and directed somebody to take down their decorations. I do know that this audience that we have here on Facebook and our podcast listeners listeners do like to contact me when there is something strange going on in an apartment building. So feel free to drop me a line if your building has some concerns about the external appearance of the building during the holiday season, and you have some insight into that or comments on that. I always love to hear these anecdotes, if not complaints or disputes. Good to keep in touch with what's going on out there on the ground in the real world. I'm seeing lots more of you come on in. Feel free to drop me a hello. Let me know that you are here, ready and waiting to hear from our very special guest. I am going to introduce her very soon. But first, I'm going to say hello to Melissa. How are you doing? I know you are one of those very busy strata managers who is no doubt dealing with some of these issues that I've been talking about. And Emiliana is here. Hello to you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this Friday. There is always something going on in this crazy world that I call strata living, and that's why we love it, isn't it? My special guest today, I am going to bring her in right now. Her name is Dr. Nicole Johnston. She is an admitted legal practitioner, currently working as a senior lecturer and researcher at Deakin University's Business School. She is a co-leader of Deakin's Home Research Group, an interdisciplinary research network. Nicole researches strata-related topics from a socio-legal perspective. Her work focuses on strata governance, conflicts of interest, purchaser knowledge acquisition, and building defects in residential schemes. She is the chair of the International Research Forum on Multi-Owned Properties, a multidisciplinary research conference that is held annually. Now, Nicole has also been a previous guest here on our Friday live chats. We chatted some months ago now, and we do have the recording of that chat in our video library if you want to check that out later on the page. Nicole has also been my guest on podcast episode number 172, where we talked about exposing Australia's building defects crisis. And way back in episode number 47, what you must know before buying into strata. She is a font of knowledge. I am bringing Dr. Nicole Johnston onto the screen right now. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. How are you going? Thanks for having me, Amanda.
We are all doing really well. It is fabulous to have you here with us today. Where are you coming to us from? You are usually a global traveller, perhaps a little more domestic these days.
Yes, no, I haven't gone very far this year at all, like all of us, but I'm actually on the Gold Coast. So although I'm normally residing in Melbourne, I did get away in March and came up here, and very glad that I wasn't stuck in lockdown in Melbourne. Yes, so loving it up here. The humidity's starting to kick in, so the heat's ramping up, which I'm not used to, but I'm sure it's going to be a lovely summer.
And are you planning on heading back down anytime soon, back home?
Well, I think I've decided that I'm going to be probably a little bit of a gypsy for a while. Just,
Nice.
See what happens next year. Who knows what's going on in this crazy world? So at the moment, I'm just going to be between places. I'll be probably going to Sydney for a while and Melbourne, and I'll be all over the place, hopefully, when if we keep going the way that we're going with this virus. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment. But still very much at Deakin University.
Good. Yes, indeed. And we are going to talk very soon about a couple of projects that you guys are working on. But first, I want to point out, I haven't seen you for a little while. You have joined the Short Hair Club.
Yes. I think we needed to do that in this, COVID times. Calling it the COVID cut. I think a few people had the little short cut when we got to the hairdressers and we were able to go a bit crazy. So, yes, what do we think? Is it,
It's fabulous. I love it on you. So did you go to the hairdresser and say, just do so, keep me here for as long as possible because I haven't been for months, and just do something?
I had very clear instructions from my mother. This is what you need to do. Go and get it cut. And my hairdresser was a little reluctant because, I've used to have I've sort of gradually gone up, but had very long hair. And so, we just did it. And this is what we're going to have for a while.
I think it looks fabulous. I welcome
Thank
to
you.
the club. It's a nice.
Yes, well, I think have you gone back a little bit blonde there?
I have been going lighter for summertime. time? Yes, I have. Not as dark as I was about midway through the year.
Oh, it's nice this summer.
Indeed. Now we are going to get into some real strata stuff here. We're going to get out of the hairdressers. And I will just find find my notes. It's been one of those days. I want you to share with us, Dr. Nicole Johnston, what in the world is Strata Concepts and your forum that I believe is, if not running already, about to start, and we need to jump in. Tell us about Strata
Yes.
Concepts.
Yes, so we have gone virtual. So for a few of your listeners, hopefully they may have participated in the forum last year. We had Strata Concepts held at Deakin University's campus in the city in Melbourne, and then we also held it in Sydney, and Amanda came to our Sydney face-to-face event. And then, of course, so many people were really interested in this topic and the toolkits that we're providing and the information that's being disseminated. And we had a real call for that to continue. And we would have loved to get around to all the cities in the country and see people face to face. But as we all know, that just hasn't happened this year. So we decided that we still wanted to keep going and having this conversation, which is sort of an area that's very close to my heart, building defects, and very concerning topic. And so we decided to take it into the virtual world. And fortunately, Deakin University has a really fantastic platform, and we were able to fairly seamlessly be able to transition our forum into this online version. So Strata Concepts is really an education and professional development series. We're hoping to have multiple different topics throughout its life. So we're hoping this will be the first of many to come. And the first series is really dedicated to navigating building defects. So it's really for managers, both facility managers, strata managers, anyone that really is dealing with these issues on behalf of clients. We've had a number of lawyers even have come into the forum to have a look what's going on. And it's really just to provide not only is using research to underpin what's going on, but we've got some fantastic industry presenters that really explain issues around defects really well. And then we've got these amazing toolkits. So we've now created 5 toolkits for 5 states, so Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, and Western Australia, that can be used by managers. And they really do assist in your business practices. So there's lots of motions, letters that are like templated letters that you can, use in your business to, to assist you in managing these buildings. And so that's what we really wanted to give back. We wanted to make sure that the research wasn't just left sort of, I suppose, sitting on the shelf, that we wanted to be able to take what the outcomes of that research were, which a lot was around misunderstandings about the role of managers and also, what they can do for their clients, and to be able to provide back to the industry something that is really tangible that they can use in everyday practice. And that's what these toolkits are about. So it's a real package, we think, and we've worked really hard to put it together so that people can, to be involved in it. So yes, registrations are open. They do close. We've extended it a little bit. So it will close on Wednesday the 9th, but you don't have to sort of sit down and watch it all straight away. We understand everyone's really busy. And so the site will be left open till the end of January. So you can go back at any time, you can pause something, go and get a cup of tea, come back. And so you can go back as many times as you like between now and the end of January to absorb all that information on the site.
So it's all online. Once you're signed up, you get a login, you can go in, have a poke around. We're talking video tutorials, and then there's resources that you can download.
That's exactly right. So it's fairly straightforward, and I've provided a little video as soon as you get to our landing page to help you navigate around the site. But my point and what I really wanted when we put this together was to make it really easy. I mean, so many of us have been on different sorts of platforms and it gets very confusing, and I just want it to be really a seamless transition for people to be able to work through. So we've got different modules. We've got about 5 modules that go through the different aspects of managing building defects. And then we have these toolkits. You can download my report on examining building defects, which is a really good guide, and I would really encourage people to download it, even if you just pop it in your file, on your electronic file somewhere, because it's quite useful to come back and have a little read of that and certain aspects of that research report. And of course the toolkits as well, you just download those and then you can use them however you want within your own business. So yeah, so there's a number of videos based on these different modules and then these downloadable reports and toolkits.
Excuse me. And the legislation that is being referred to, is that up to date with all the changes that we've seen this year, particularly for New South Wales? And we've got some new new legislation with different powers and time periods and duties. Can strata managers logging in there expect that all of that's...
Yeah, so for New South Wales and Victoria in particular, we've got a couple of annexures. So we did develop the toolkits for Victoria and New South Wales sort of earlier last year. And so, of course, yes, things have changed. So we have included an annexure that just sort of updates some of those timelines and sort of draws people's attention to the new legislation, particularly in New South Wales, where we've seen, you know, quite a bit of change over the last few months. So, yeah, so that information is there as well.
Okay, and we are going to pop the link into the comments here on Facebook to head over to the Eventbrite page where you can sign up for the forum. It's all super easy over there. I'm just looking at it now, and you've said there, Nicole, we can sign up now and have access to all of this information until the end of January. And it's looking like the price is $195. My goodness, that is cheap at twice the price.
Yeah, it is. And we wanted to, we know it's been a really difficult year for everyone. And, you know, I know what it's like from an academic. You know, a lot of our sort of things have been frozen as far as, you know, any sort of money being spent from our business end. So, you know, we know that, you know, it's a difficult time for everyone. And previously for our face-to-face ones, it was $195 as well. So we wanted to keep that price point the same for everyone. And it is probably, well, it is undervalued, but the point is that it's about really giving back to everyone, for people to provide us feedback, because this is sort of like our little trial run on the virtual reality as well. So we want to know how it worked well for you. And so, you know, we just think we don't want people paying a lot of money, you know, for, you know, something that they don't really use or they're not getting a lot back from. So we're taking this really as a pilot forum. And so we want people to provide us feedback, what they didn't like, what was working well, so that we can make some improvements for the future. And so for me, I was very clear, and so was the partner on SEI on this project, was to make sure that the price point was probably really conservative, so that people can really enjoy this this forum and engage then back with us, and so that we can make some improvements.
Yeah, and you've just mentioned their SCI, Strata Community Insurance. I think it's important that we acknowledge them as partnering with you and Deakin on this project, as they did last year throughout all the face-to-face programs, SCI and Paul Keating in particular being another well-loved guest on here on Friday Live in our podcast.
Yeah, and so as soon as we did the first one in Melbourne, you know, Paul came to me straight away to say this is such a great thing to give back to the industry, and he wanted to be involved in any way he could. So it's great to have a partner on, you know, involved in this. You know, I'm just the little academic really sitting back, and although I know a lot of people in the industry,
stop being a female.
It's great to have the support.
This wouldn't be happening without you.
It's just great to have the support of other people, so, and other organisations, and to get the word out really, and to support this sort of initiative. And so we hope that it's going to be, you know, a long-lasting arrangement, and that we can provide so much more education and professional development, not only to strata managers, but I think anyone that deals with strata. So we would like to, in the future, you know, be able to provide more information to conveyancers, you know, valuers, all those other professional groups that sit on the periphery of strata, who sometimes don't really know the intricacies. We all know, because we're working in it, how complex it can be. But for us, we really want to be able to, you know, provide that further development, professional development to those sorts of industries as well over time. So that's certainly part of our remit for Strata Concepts.
It's interesting that you mentioned conveyancers, because I was introduced to the Australian Institute of Conveyancers earlier this year by a mutual contact, and they invited me to deliver some education for them as part of their
Great.
CPD, and we did a weekend webinar, and I was just flooded with questions, and excellent questions too. All of the things that conveyancers need to know that they don't know. They have an inkling that they need to know it, so they can better serve their clients and make sure, and I know this has been a big part of your research in the past, Nicole, that purchasers are going in understanding all of this. And I'm happy to say that I'll be back with them in March as part of one of their regional roadshows. We're looking at the need for that education
Oh, that's
is
exciting.
really clear. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting because, one just little side note is when I did some research on this sort of area a number of years ago, I had a conveyancer who'd been working in this area for, 20 something years, said to me, I said, oh, do you go and ask do you go and inspect the records of the owners corporation? And she said, oh, where would I go to do that? Would I go to like fair trading it was surprising to me that they don't even know where to go and to understand the information that's there that they can inform their purchaser. And I think an informed purchaser is just great for everyone in the industry if they know more about what they're getting themselves involved in. And so it's such a critical thing for me that we just keep going on and educating these sort of peripheral professional groups.
Yep, absolutely. Now I'm just heading over to the comments that are coming here on Facebook. And I do want to say, anybody tuning in from LinkedIn, we'll make sure that we get that link to Strata Concepts over on the LinkedIn feed as well. Michael, hello, it's good to see you. Grant is here saying, hi, Amanda and Dr. Nick. And Milo is saying, Nicole's PhD was the only one I read all the way through.
Oh my God, all the way through. That's impressive. Did it put you to
That's a
sleep,
compliment.
Milo? Oh,
Got
that's
through
great
it.
to hear.
So. Now
Excellent.
you're a very busy lady, Nicole. Even in during a pandemic, when I sense that a number of other academics may not have so much going on. What's going on in the world of academia? Can you give us some insight into how everybody's coping, the big changes that have happened because of the pandemic this year?
Yeah, listen, the university sector, I don't think it's any surprise, has been hit really badly. And, a number of universities have had to go through significant redundancies with their staff, both professional staff and academic staff. And certainly at Deakin, we lost close to 300 staff.
Oh.
And so it's been a really difficult, really sort of 7 months dealing with that. Obviously, as everyone would appreciate, we've got a high reliance on international students. And of course, when COVID hit, that dried up. And it's something that just won't bounce back quickly. We're going to be in this deep hole, I think, for a number of years to come. I think it's very difficult. Fortunately, at Deakin, we've sort of gone through our major changes within the university, and luckily, we've survived and continue to sort of to work and to teach our students. I sit in a property group, so of course in these sorts of times, a lot of people start to come back to property courses, and so we've had a real influx actually in our postgraduate property course in particular. And so so I'm really fortunate, and I'm so appreciate the fact that I can continue to do the work that I really love, especially in relation to strata research. Around the country, all the other strata academics that I know and that I'm close to have all are all fine, which is great for all of us, and sort of continuing with research in our area. But I think there's been a lot of pain for a lot of people, and the university didn't get any sort of government assistance like other industries were excluded from a number of initiatives. And of course, it has an impact on research as well when there's not a lot of money that can be put back into, especially the sort of research that we do. A lot of it goes to healthcare. So yes, troubling times for universities, but I think it's going to be a few years, but we'll bounce back. And luckily, I think universities across this country have been doing very well for a number of years. So hopefully they've got a little bit of savings in the back pocket that can be now utilised for different ways. So yeah, hasn't been a good year. And normally in these sorts of any type of downturn, universities usually thrive, but certainly not in this era, unfortunately. So yeah.
But interesting to hear about, once again, the resilience of our strata sector being part of that broader property sector. I've certainly seen many people who are part of that sector thriving and doing really well this year. And I think, I hope we're going to see many people take notice of that, good, smart, energetic, resilient people moving into our sector as managers, more strata lawyers, hopefully. We need it. This is growing incredibly fast. It is challenging. It is changing, and we need as many good people as we can get. So hopefully
and
that's on the
I'm seeing
horizon
a lot of people come back to do postgraduate studies that are interested in strata management. I get a lot of my students asking out, and I often put a call out in different areas, for students that are really interested in this. And I think because my love is strata, and so I talk about it a lot in my lectures, and so try to get people really interested in this area. And so I do now more and more get students contacting me saying, "Oh, this is really fascinating. How do I get into this sort of industry?" And it's a great industry for these graduates to get into. So I think it is exciting times. We've got to look forward to the future.
Now, there is a comment here from our mutual friend and fellow strata lawyer, Alison Benson, saying, "Hi, looks like a good seminar, your Strata Concepts. I came in partway through. Are you targeting at the lot owner level or the industry level?"
Thanks, Alison, and hello. Listen, I think generally this particular forum is more geared around managers, but I've had a number of lot owners very interested as well. So, for them to understand more about how defects work and looking after their building, even moving forward, and how the whole construction system works within a building, I think is really great knowledge. And so I know Karen Stiles, I've spoken to her, and she certainly put a shout out to her members in at the Owners Corporation Network. If they're more than welcome to be engaged and come along and have a look. I think it will be valuable, especially for people that sit on committees as well in sort of bigger buildings and that sort of thing. I think it's certainly a forum for them to jump into, without any worries at all.
Yep. And I imagine building managers as well, being there on the ground, sort of
Absolutely.
dealing in new buildings, understanding this process of dealing with building defects. It's going to be handy.
Yeah, absolutely. Facility managers, and also for the people in the states that we haven't created those toolkits. I've had a few from, those smaller states. This is still really valuable, and you can download any of the toolkits. And there's just some slight variations because of the time limitation periods and so forth, but still a lot of really valuable information. So don't be turned off that we haven't quite got to putting those sorts of toolkits together for the smaller states. But you can still, the content that is there in the video presentations and the toolkits and that sort of thing is still really valuable for everyone.
Yep, sounds like it. All right, we are going to shift gears a little. I'm going to say hello to Sean, who's just coming in. How you doing? Now, you have, I said earlier, you're a busy lady. You're already planning the next research project, which is being done in partnership with SCA National, which is very exciting. I've teased this a little bit on our socials today. What is this 2021 project about, Nicole?
Well, we're already underway, Amanda. We've already started.
Right.
And so, so this is a really exciting project, and it's something that, from both an academic point of view and from an industry-wide perspective as well, we haven't really dug down deep into what's going on in relation to strata insurance. So this is sort of the first of its kind, and so from an academic point of view, it's very, very exciting. So this is a partnership that's been formed, and Deakin University put a proposal for the work to SCA, and we've been fortunate enough to be awarded a grant to do this research. And it's very much a holistic, sort of very comprehensive comprehensive, data-driven look and at strata insurance and the role and the value that strata managers play in dealing with strata insurance. And for many people, they might have been alerted to an ACCC inquiry that's going on in relation to strata insurance and home and contents insurance issues in the far north area of Australia. And some of the sort of the commentary that's coming out of those reports has really sort of, I think, prompted this to look more deeply into what's going on in strata, because strata, as we know, and strata insurance is very different from any other type of insurance for, general home and content type of insurance. So we want to make sure that we really look at this critically, look at what sort of, from a data perspective, an empirical research perspective, what's going on. So it's very much a multifaceted methodology that's the approach going to be used for this research project. And we'll certainly be calling out to both strata managers and lot owners early in the new year to participate in a survey questionnaire so that we can get a much better understanding about, from the manager's perspective, what their role is, how they work through insurance claims, how they deal with their clients in relation to insurance, their relationships with brokers and insurers and so forth, and their general knowledge about strata insurance. But also we want to make sure that the lot owners' voices are heard. And so we're going to do a survey questionnaire to lot owners as well, just to get a better understanding about what they know about strata insurance, what their thoughts are around strata insurance, how reliant they are on strata managers to get their information about how their building is being insured and so forth, because it's a really complicated area. And as lawyers, we know, just looking at the legislation in the relevant strata legislation across the country, Amanda, how really complicated it is when you actually draw down on all the legislation in this country that deals with strata insurance. It is a mammoth amount of regulation, and every state is different, the way that they approach things. And so we need to get a better understanding about that. So we need to sort of start to tease that out and look at what is going on. So it's very much this holistic, comprehensive view of strata insurance and the role of strata managers in the insurance process.
Now, I am catching myself and my lawyer brain wanting to ask you, to what end? And I know what you're going to say, because I have been present when one of your PhD students, current PhD students, who is also a former lawyer, was asking a similar question or discussing with you and I a similar point. As lawyers, we want to set out to prove something, because that is our job for our client. And academic research is quite different. So you've told us what you're going to do in this research. If somebody like me was to ask you to what end, what do you say to that?
Yes. So the practical idea from a lot of people is, well, where are the recommendations and the solutions to a particular problem? And oftentimes that's not our job as academics. Our job is really to be that independent person that starts to dig in and investigate all aspects of a particular phenomenon that we're studying. And so that's what really our point is. Of course, there will be a report, which is a tangible sort of outcome, that will talk about how we approached the research, what the aim of the research was, what our findings were, so what were the results. So it will be very clear about what people's understanding of insurance is, what the availability of insurance is across the country, what the variations, and we're doing a sort of a comparative analysis looking at the taxes, the levies, the duties that are imposed on strata products, all those sorts of things. So at the end of the day, the results will be really drawn from the research. So it'll be quite clear what that end result is. As far as our job is, the part of this remit is not for us to make overarching recommendations. We are just there to interpret the data and make sense of the data and what's going on in a given time. And then it's up to others to really, if they're wanting to try and inform policy, which is obviously that's what we're looking for here, especially from the partner, is to inform policy. And our job is to provide the research that probably will underpin what their policy view will be.
Now, something that comes up as a point of contention when we talk about strata insurance is often insurance commissions, the insurance commissions that strata managers receive. And I'm raising this because even when I posted on our Facebook page that we were going to talk about this topic, somebody has posted a comment. Stephanie's posted a comment. I know of a strata management company who are no longer declaring commissions for insurance, but now in their contracts they refer to them as premiums. Interestingly, the amount of this year's policy has increased to the exact same amount as the premium, I think that's going to say. So it's a topical issue. It's an emotional issue for some owners. Is this something you're going to ask owners about in the surveys that you're planning to do?
Absolutely, and this is the point of with the survey, and we're going to take a lot of care of putting the survey together because we want to make sure that we're capturing as much information as we possibly can. And we know that the commission issue or the commissions are an issue for some people, and we need to understand better about what their knowledge is around the commissions, what their thoughts are on commissions, whether they hate them, whether they don't care about them. You know, that will be, those sorts of questions will definitely be asked in the survey to managers. So people will have an opportunity to voice these, that, you know, if they've got concerns about it, to have this is their time to voice those. So I'm really interested to see what the feedback will be, what the results of those surveys will be.
Yeah, me too. And excellent that you have the partnership with SCA National there, and you're really going to be able to reach as many managers and owners around the country as you can. And it's definitely something that we can all help you share as well as best we can. Where did the idea or the instigation, the passion to look into this issue come from for you personally, Nicole?
Well, I mean, I think it's been an area that has been discussed, very similar almost to the building defects type of work that we did, because we've been discussing it for many years in different industry conferences, and you know, we had certainly for the building defects, and you can just sort of get to a point that you start to sort of scratch the surface to find out, well, what work has there been done in this area? So it's that, you know, real curiosity about what's going on in our industry, and it's the same with the insurance. The insurance discussion, you know, all different aspects of insurance have been discussed at many conferences, industry conferences that I've been going to for the last, 13 years or so. And this really was about, SCA put together a strata insurance task force. So there's a group of people that have come together that were very much interested in putting something together. So they put the call out to a number of providers, research providers across the country, and so they had a very clear sort of scope of works, if you will, about what they really wanted to focus on. But they were very open to be a very comprehensive research project, which is something that I was very interested in, looking at all facets of this topic. And so I think, my passion for strata, and my, I'm very inquisitive and really interested in, for me, learning more about the insurance industry and the role that managers play as well. So, it's about putting the right people together. We've built a fantastic team at Deakin University. We've got tax lawyers. We've got, I've got some strata lawyers involved that are now doing sort of research areas. We've got, people that deal with really complex statistics. And so we've got a whole range of people that have come together on this team that will really add value to the research. And, as a university, we are an independent organisation. The research that we do goes through really complex ethics protocols, and so we have to make sure that we remain independent, and we're really focused on achieving that goal.
Good to hear. A few comments here. Natalie is just sympathising there with Stephanie. That full comment is just further down the page under my earlier post today. Natalie, if you want to check that out, I'm not sure I read all of it out. Sean is saying, as an owner, commissions have never bothered me. As a manager, we report every year on the agenda explicitly. Yes, and that is a requirement in New South Wales to make that report. Natalie says, the writing's been on the wall from owners for a while now. I'm so interested in what owners have to say. Yeah, I'm really interested too. Too, Sean and Natalie, I hear it both ways from owners when it comes to commissions, and indeed from strata managers. And I'm actually, look, I don't know whether it's just my interaction with different types of strata managers these days, but I'm seeing some strata managers just staying away from the commission issue altogether and just saying, I don't even go there. My fees might be a bit higher, but I don't even go there. I just want to take that out of the equation.
Yeah, when you start digging into it, there are a number of different models that we probably haven't, been sort of shown or hasn't been
Mm.
highlighted in any way across the industry. And this project certainly will start to do that, where there are some managers out there that aren't doing commissions, and there's various models. I was quite surprised when we started to dig into this, that people are looking at this whole area in very different ways.
And overseas, will you look at what happens maybe in the US homeowner associations? It's not something that I've ever looked into, how they deal with their insurance arrangements.
Yeah, we haven't at this stage. This project will it's pretty fast, and it's going to finish in the end of April. So we haven't looked further afield, but certainly it might be something down the track to start to look at how insurance is dealt with in other jurisdictions internationally. Not for
Mm.
this project, but I think it's an interesting point.
Mm. Excellent. Okay, a few more comments there coming in between Natalie and Sean. I told you it's an issue that gets people's opinion, expressing their opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving us the scoop on that research. I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about it earlier in 2021 as you get your surveys out there and get some momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the time for people to participate. This is the vehicle that you can do it in, and so we hope we get lots of people responding to our request.
So we don't have anywhere to send people yet with that request. Is that coming early in the new year, or have I missed that one?
No, it hasn't. It'll come early in the new year. So we're doing sort of different stages in the research project, and collecting, sort of analysing and sort of getting different results from different parts of it that then will come together to formulate the surveys that go out. So it will be sort of sometime in around, I would suspect, February.
Excellent. All right. Well, I am going to say thank you to Dr. Nicole Johnston for spending this Friday live with us, letting us know all about Strata Concepts. Now, we did hear that the last date to register to be part of Strata Concepts is next Wednesday, the 9th of December. I'll just ask Rochelle to pop the link to the Eventbrite page where you can easily head over and register in the comments here. And though you can register up to Wednesday, you will have access to everything that's inside the forum, the online forum, until the end of January. So I think that's an excellent way to be spending our holidays, our summer holidays. I know I find it a good time to do some personal development, listen to some podcasts, do some courses that I might have had my eye on throughout the year. This is a good one.
Sit at the beach, put your little earphones in, and get on the computer.
Yes. Why not? Excellent.
That's lovely.
Well, thank you. And I hope to see you in person soon. Borders are opening up now. And you and I have been...
I miss people.
Well, we were lucky enough. We caught up late Jan, and then we saw each other at the lawyers' conference in Feb, and then that was it. It was all over. So we have a date to make.
We do. Hopefully 2021 is going to be a much better year for all of us to come together.
One way or another. It's going to be a year. Let's say that. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us this Friday, for all of your comments. This is important information. If you have neighbours, clients, others in your building that you want to share this with, you can absolutely click share on this video and share that across, or just give it a like, give it a little thumbs up, and that helps Facebook to reach as many people as possible with this info. So thank you, Dr. Nicole, and thank you to our audience. We will sign off for the weekend. Have a good one.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.